Okay, welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. It is November 17th, Thursday morning. It's just before 10 o'clock, so market just opened a little while ago. We're going to do a review of the broader markets. We're going to look at the S&P 500, QQQ, so NASDAQ 100, and also the IWM. And we'll also look at the Dow as well, as we talked about. That's starting to show some differentiation. And so what we're seeing this morning is a potential... or we talked about this or I tweeted about this, that we're moving into a daily cycle low. And now the question becomes, is this also going to become a weekly cycle decline as well? So looking at the daily chart, first off, we have our high on day 23, and now we have a definitive swing high, right? Once we went below that level. And if you're not familiar with the concept of a swing high, definitely check out the video, very in-depth video, about 15 minutes, talking through swing highs. And we actually use I believe it's the 1929 crash as your example. So definitely take a look at that. There's a link in the description. There'll be a link in the description. But we kind of look at this. We kind of consolidated for the last 3 days in this same general range. And then today we opened with a definitive gap down. Now gaps tend to get closed, and so this will probably get closed on the upside. And we also didn't close this gap yet as either. So this is day 25. So it looks like the daily cycle decline is definitely underway. The next kind of level that you need to defend more or less is 3860. Looks like we could definitely get a test of that level. And most importantly, if you look at the weekly, you have to start asking, the possibility is that this is the high for the weekly cycle at week 5, which would be really bad. You can see the previous weekly cycle topped on week 9, but the one before that actually topped out exactly on week 5 as well. So that's what we're going to be watching for. And the key level there is holding above last week's low, which is all the way down at 37.44. Now, what's likely to happen is we're not going to break that low this week because we only have one trading day left. We have to get through today, and then we have one trading day left tomorrow. But more likely, we come in next week, and this is setting us up for a swing high on the weekly. The same way we have a swing high on the daily, the next level would be getting a swing high on the weekly. And what is this doing to the monthly? Has it turned this red? Not yet. So that's always an important level to be aware of, right? So the month, you always want to know what was the opening price of the candle, because if a candle's above that opening price, it's green, and if it's below, it's red, right? And so right now it's hanging on to green by a thread, but the opening price is 39.01. So that level has to be defended to remain green, and that's important because once you go red, that means your decline has started in earnest, and that's something to be aware of. And the bigger picture here is October truly our low on month 31 of this longer term cycle? Or is this actually just a lower high the same way this is a lower high? Look at that. Is this turning into this, right? That's what we want to be careful of, or this, right? We had, on the way down, we had this lower high, and then we had this lower high. I guess technically this was a lower high too. And now the real question is, are we getting a lower high here, which notice is lower than this one, right? We didn't even make it back to this level. Again, we have to see a lot more price action. Even today, it's still relatively early, but that's what we're watching for. Those are the clear levels you want to watch. And so let's move on to QQQ and IWM. It's the same story, just slightly different levels. So interesting, the Qs is actually already gone green on the day, trying to reverse back up. So let's see. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, so same count. Your daily cycle high on day 23, and we've now definitively kind of gapped down. Same kind of idea for the Qs. Again, same count, different levels. Potentially a weekly cycle high here on week 5, but we're going to need a lot more evidence to confirm that. And for the Qs, the month opened at 281.50, so we need to stay above that level to remain green. That's an important signal. For IWM, how are we looking? So IWM, let's start with a monthly. Ooh, that is important to know about. Do you see that? The month for IWM is already red. Well, that's interesting. So it's massively outperforming underperforming its peers. And again, potentially setting up a lower high. Oops. Right? The same way this was a lower high, potentially setting up a lower high here. Yikes. And on the weekly level, So I hadn't updated these counts, but I think these are all week 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So a slight new high on week 5, and the Qs are actually really close, or closer, I should say, to making a swing low on the week, a swing high on the weekly. That would be a move below 174.50. So we'll see if we get there this week, and if not, again, probably finish that. Like we would potentially close the deal next week, right? Like you have a sort of compound outside candle is what you get. And finally, we'll look at the Dow, DIA. That's the index. That's the ETF. So the Dow is a little bit topped out a little bit later. So that was day 23. Actually, no, it's the same day, same count. Day 23, 24, day 25. And the Dow has gone green as well, just like the Qs. So the Dow has been one of the stronger indices. It actually had a swing low on the monthly. And so for the Dow, that opening price on a monthly is 329.37. So we want to watch that. And again, identical pattern here, potential weekly cycle top. It did make more progress. You can see this is actually more of a double top than the other indices where it's a pretty clear lower high. I mean, this is still a lower high. This didn't get as high as this, but this is going to be very interesting to watch. So the way the rest of this day plays out is key. And then how do we close the week? Because right now on its face, it's setting us up for a swing high. But notice this little red candle that ended up just being consolidation. So you want to watch for that. For the DIA, the weekly swing high is active below 324.15, right? And the month opened at, again, I think I mentioned that, 329.37. So you want to watch those levels. So that's the rundown for the 4 major indices, showing some weakness here, probably from the Fed jawboning. Of course, on this channel, we worry much more about the what versus the why. I hope you enjoyed the update. We'll continue to watch this, and we'll definitely be tweeting about it in real time. So do follow on Twitter if you're not already. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Like the content if you found value. Definitely helps the algorithm, helps more people find this. Thanks again.